Number two, the conceptual framework is not an IFRS and hence does not define standards for any particular or measurement or disclosure issue. True. It's
Okay.
true because number two is true for me because the conceptual framework is not a standard and hence it does not overrule any standard.
Okay, that's correct. I hope that's clear, class. I especially made it a point to emphasize that in one of our videos, class.
The objective of general purpose financial statement is the foundation of the conceptual framework. The other aspects will flow logically from the objective. Two, other aspects of the framework, such as the qualitative characteristics, the cost constraints, the useful financial information, reporting entity concepts, elements of financial statements will flow logically from the general purpose financial statement itself.
Okay, so number four is also true. Continue with number six.
Uh, in our group, number six is false. The management of a reporting entity who is interested in financial information about the entity need not rely on general purpose financial reports because it is able to obtain the financial information it needs internally. In our group, we answered false because it is said the management need not rely on GPFR because it is able to obtain said information internally.
Class number six is true, class.
Well,
If you've read in the textbook or if you've seen in the videos, di ba, we have the primary users and the other users. And it was explained that the reason that management is not considered as a primary user, it's because they do not have to rely on the general purpose reports because they have internal access to internal reports. They do not have to rely on general purpose financial reports. Again, very important, class. Management is not part of our primary users. And the reason again is as explained in number six. Okay?
Sure. Number 8, faithful representation can be either complete depiction or neutral depiction. A complete depiction means without bias in the selection or presentation of financial statement. It is not slanted, weighted, emphasized, de-emphasized, or otherwise manipulated to increase the probability that financial information will be received favorably or unfavorably by users. False, sir, because it should be neutral depiction and not complete depiction.
So that's correct. Number eight is false. Number 10.
Number 10, consistency refers to the use of the same methods for the same items, either from period to period within a reporting entity or in a single period across entities. True, sir.
Okay? Class, there's no need to elaborate on number 10, class. That's exactly how we are going to define consistency. So number 10 is true.
number 12, generally the older the information is the less useful it is. However, some information may continue to be timely long after the end of a reporting period. True. Generally the older the information is, the less useful it is. However, some information may continue to be timely long after the end of a reporting period. In other words, consistency requires the methods to be applied on a uniform basis.
Class, can you think, sige, I will not ask na lang para madali, ha? An example, class, in which an information that has become old already but is still useful is when they are used to identify trends and make projections. So ordinarily, if it's an old information, it's not very useful anymore. Okay, we need updated information, man. But one way in which old information can still be used is when they are used to make projections or identify trends and behaviors.
Number 14, the financial statements are normally prepared on the assumption that an entity is a going concern. However, if the intention is different, the financial statements may have to be prepared on a different basis, and if so, the basis used is disclosed. Our answer, sir, is true.
Okay,
The
so I
general
understand
purpose
if you don't have
finance.
any explanation. Okay, it's essentially taken from the
Book.
uh, conceptual framework itself. But again, class, I'd want to emphasize, class, that you already include in your stock knowledge the concept of going concern. This would not be the only time that you will be encountering going concern. Until the very end, class, you will be encountering the going concern assumption. The assumption that the entity will continue to operate indefinitely. Never forget going concern.
16, sir. An asset is present economic resource controlled by the entity as a result of present event. So our answer, sir, is false, since an asset is controlled by the entity as a result of past events.
Okay, so that's the single word that makes the statement false. An asset arises from a past event. Something must have happened in the past for the asset to arise. So
Right.
number 16 is false.
True, sir.
18, an executory contract or a portion of contract that is equally unperformed, neither party has fulfilled any of its obligation, or both parties have partially fulfilled their obligation to an equal extent. True, sir, since it is stated.
Yeah, it's very difficult to explain why a statement is true or false when it's just taken directly from the framework. So again, 18 is directly taken from the framework, and that's exactly our definition for executory contracts. Let's have number 20.
The use of reasonable estimates is not an essential part of the preparation of financial information, as it undermines the usefulness of the information, even if the estimates are clearly and accurately described and explained. False, sir.
Okay, so we cannot completely forego the use of assumptions and estimates, class. It is clearly stated in the framework, and I believe it is sufficiently discussed in our discussions. The fact that it says that the use of estimates is not essential, then that is already wrong. Okay, use of estimates does not undermine the usefulness of the information. So number 20 is false. Next, 22.
22, sir, true.
Read it first.
The definition, the measurement basis most commonly adopted by entities in preparing their financial statement is historical cost. True.
Okay. I think I've mentioned that in one of the videos, class, even though I have not discussed this particular chapter of the framework. But the reason historical cost is the most used, it's because it is the measurement base that can easily be verified. I hope you remember the verifiability characteristic, class. And out of the all possible measurement bases, historical cost is the most verifiable. That is why it is the most heavily used measurement base in the preparation of your financial statements. So number 22 is true. Last number, number 24.
The 24, sir, is the total carrying amount of equity is not measured directly. It equals the total of carrying amount of recognized assets less the total of the carrying amounts of recognized liabilities. So our answer here, sir, is true. And I base true, sir, because of the accounting formula, sir, which is the asset equals liabilities of minus of plus equity. And since, sir, since it discusses about the equity answer, so I based it for the asset minus liability, so equals equity, sir.
Okay, that's correct. If you recall, another name for your capital or your equity is that it represents your residual interest. That it is what is left after using all your assets to pay off all your liabilities. Okay, since it is residual, it depends on the assets and the liabilities of the entity. Should I give you the answers to the other numbers, class?
Yes, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Or not?
Yes, please. Yes, please, sir.
Yes, please, sir.
Next time na lang, class?
Please,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, maybe I'll take some of the questions here, those that were not, some of the questions, whether discussed or not, may come out in our test. And I'd rather you discuss with your blockmates your potential answer for this one instead of me giving you directly the answer.
Okay, sir.
I'd want you to discuss amongst yourselves, class, as to what should be the best answer for these questions. Okay, so it's as if I'm giving the rest of the questions as a continuing assignment.